everybody? Cannabis Guru, and I'm back with another update. So I've made a couple changes, or a change, and I figured I'd share it with you guys. So I went ahead and scrogged my plants. I was going to end up running out of room between the plants and the light. I still have a little bit more room to open the light, and I'm going to use all of it. I'm going to go all the way up. Excuse me, I got sniffles. I just did this today, so I'm going to give it a week for the shoots to start coming up, and have, a bunch of individual tops. I got to take a clone down there, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip it. I'm only going to take one clone. I've only seen one that's really worth cutting, and it's this one. This plant is just too stretched out. I don't want to clone that one. This one is okay. I still think the genetics suck. I think they grow too slow. From what other strains that I've grown have done, like I had Bad Betty. It grew super fast compared to this, and it stacked up way tighter under LED. I've had Lavender, did way better than these. So the genetics definitely are not good on these plants. But this one right here is better than this one, and it's the best one I got, and it's better than nothing. On payday, I get paid once a month, so I'm a disabled vet. So on the first one I get paid, I'm going to go down and buy some more seeds. I'm not exactly sure what strain I'm going to get. I'm going to have to look, because the store that I go to, the vendor there's got a bunch of different brands. So I'm going to make sure that I look for seeds that are in a light, what would you call it? A UV protected container, so light doesn't go through it and affect the seeds, in an airtight container preferably, so that way the seeds stay fresh as possible. The only other way to make them fresher is put them in the freezer, you know what I mean, or the fridge. So but yeah, you want some that aren't introduced to light and have an airtight package. These ones were made by Rocket Seeds. They were exposed to the light, and the package is not airtight. I have one other plant. It's in my veg tent, my cloning tent. It's small. It's got some issues, and I overwatered it, but there's some other stuff going on with it. I'm not sure. It's green, but it's just not happy. I'm going to transplant it and go from there. But yeah, two of the seeds that I had for this didn't germinate right, so I tossed them out. The Bad Betty seeds that I had were too old, and they didn't germinate properly. So yeah, so I'm just making do with what I got for right now. Hopefully the bud turns out good. I'm going to do my best. But yeah, the next run should be better. I'm going to have a different strain. I would like to get 10 seeds, but the 10 seed packs are just so freaking expensive. It's like $160 or some shit like that. Or maybe a little less, maybe a little more. They're expensive, dude. So I'm going to try and find a good strain. Try and find, try and find a pack for around $100 or so, and go with that. And eventually I'll have other strains, but I don't want to go too buck wild on the strains, because a lot of people have a seed bank, and the only way I know of to do a seed bank is to vacuum seal your seeds and put them in the freezer. That's the only way I know. So maybe if I start a seed bank, maybe I'll do that. Because I don't want to, if I buy seeds, I don't want to use all of them. I'll just find a good pheno in the seeds that I popped and clone that one. So yeah, I'm gonna eventually do that. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do in here for the summer. I have this back door over here that I can put a screen, one of those magnetic screens on there to keep flying insects out and shit. And then I got the garage door. I can crack it open a little bit and put a net, so that way I can still get airflow in here in the summertime, and maybe keep it cool enough. I don't know. I may have to buy an AC Infinity AC air conditioner or environment, some unit, and pump it through to keep the tent cool, and I'll have to keep the doors open in here to evacuate the heat. So I won't be too worried about humidity in the summertime. I'll probably end up having to use my humidifier. It's going right now, actually, because I got the tent open. But Yeah, the AC Infinity humidifier works pretty damn good, dude. Had a little trouble with it at first, trying to figure out how to operate it. But of course, it was operator error, me being stupid, and I figured it out. So I didn't figure it out all the way. I don't quite understand some of it, but I got it to work enough. So that's set right. It works really well. Yeah, so I got that set to, I don't remember what it's set to, but it coincides with this, and they may be a little bit different from one to the next. That way they don't run together. You know, there's no point. So, but yeah, man, things are coming along, dude. I'm pretty pleased with all the problems that I've had. I'm quite pleased. The roots are really starting to come out of the pots now. Mainly the one on the left. See what I'm talking about? The difference in the genetics. See, so there's no way I'm cloning that motherfucker right there. This one is worth looking into, but like I said, it grows. I feel like they grow slow. They're picking up pace. They're growing a little faster now, but not compared to other strains that I've grown. So, but yeah, dude, they're coming through pretty nice. Looking good. I like these smart pots, dude. They're really dope. So that's all I run in smart pots. I got a bunch of them. I got some 10-gallon, bunch of 10-gallon ones. Bunch of 10-gallon ones. Probably like 20 plus 10-gallon smart pots. There was a store near my house that went out of business. Oh God, when did it go out of business? Like 2019, 2018, somewhere in there. 2019, 2020. Anyways, it's called Green Thumb, and that was my store that I went to get all my supplies. And when they went out of business, everything was like slashed on price, and I actually had enough money, and I went in there and I bought a big humidifier, or dehumidifier, excuse me. That's where I got that one. I got my chiller, and that's like a $300-something chiller or some shit like that, and I was able to get it for like 75 bucks. I bought a lot of stuff for hella dirt, all the pots, I bought hella pots, the plastic pots, cloth pots, a lot of smart pots. I got really big ones like 4x4 pots and shit. So yeah, I might one of these summers get some live soil and do a grow in that live soil. I hear that shit turns out really nice, and the nug size is huge. I just don't understand it. I'd like to know how to make it, so I could do my own. I bet you the flavor and everything off of the natural soil is probably, well, I don't know. I would like to compare the flavor between that and some hydro, because hydro is really clean, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you do it right and your ppms are down close to zero, if not at zero at the end of flush. You know, you should have some really clean, smooth smoking bud. Now, I don't know with this live soil if you're going to get like an earthy taste or not, because I don't know how they flush, you know what I mean? I don't, it's live soil, you know what I mean? You're not really going to be able to flush the amendments out. So how does that taste? You know what I mean? Is it a little harsh? Does it have an earthy taste? You know, do you have to cure it properly to get, you know, a certain way to get the correct flavor? I mean, what's the scoop with that shit? If anybody knows, post it in the comments below, because I'd really like to know and understand that type of growing. So, but I personally like hydro. I don't like growing in soil unless I'm growing outside. But even outside, I usually grow with cocoa. I like to feed my plants. You know what I mean? If I grow with Fox Farm Ocean Forest soil all season long, and you know, all summer long, I'm probably really not going to have to feed the plant. Definitely not in veg. Maybe add a little bit during flower. But that's it, you know what I mean? And then when it comes time to flush, you're gonna get, I feel like I've always gotten that earthy taste, you know? So, yeah, hydro is gonna be much cleaner. I've run zero runoff grows in the past because all I had was like little runoff dishes underneath my pots. I didn't want to go around and with shot back and suck up the freaking runoff trays every time I fed or watered. So I did a zero runoff grow. It's kind of a bad idea. Plants have a tendency to get burned, which I ran into, and you get a lot of salt buildup with the powdered nutrients, especially the General Hydroponics Maxi Grow and Bloom. I noticed a lot of salt buildup, especially on my high-low hydro halos, so the holes kept plugging up. But shit, what was I fucking saying? Oh yeah, so I've always grown, pretty much always grown in cocoa. I've done a little bit in soil, like outside and shit, but I've always had an issue with flushing. I've never gotten them flushed enough, and then with the zero runoff grow, it takes too long to flush. It took me 4 weeks and I still didn't get them all the way flushed out because you're not getting any runoff during veg and flower, so you're not pushing any of that excess salt out through the bottom of the plant, and you get nothing but salt buildup. You can get a nutrient lockout. I never got a nutrient lockout, but I did get, you know, burn my plants a few times. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend going that route unless you're gonna, you know, make dabs out of it. And that's the only reason I would do it. Because you can get the most potent plant, I feel like, if you just feed it hard all the way up until harvest. The only reason we flush is because we smoke the flower and we want it to be, you know, clean. We don't want it to be harsh smoking. But if you're just going to harvest the trichomes and or you know, make some live resin, you don't need, I don't think you need to flush, and you can just feed all the way up until harvest and you can get some super powerful shit. That's my take on that. So, but I'm getting tired of doing the dabs, you know. I'll be honest with you. I like smoking the flower, the pre-rolls, the joints, and the blunts. So when I do dabs, I like, emotionally, I just like dig too deep, dude. It becomes like a deep freaking dive into my emotions and my past and all this shit, and I don't like it. Makes me super emotional and shit, and so I try and stay away from the dabs. So I stick with flower, and that's why this run is really important. I got to make sure that I get it perfect. Get a perfect flush on it because this is a flower that I'm going to be smoking on. I'm going to make some keef out of the trimmings using dry ice, so I can make some pre-rolls with that, along with, or roll my pre-rolls in it, along with, you know, flour inside. And I'm also planning on making some rosin, whatever. I want to get a rosin press. I found some that are pretty reasonably priced, so I'll eventually be doing that. But usually I don't grow like this. I'll scrog, but I'll leave my plants all the way up. I just use the scrog to hold the plants in place from falling over and shit, right? This time I'm doing it differently. I've never really grown like this, where I bend the shit over, and, you know, I've tried to, you know, flirted with it a little bit, but I've never ran. I used hangers, you know, because it was just a single plant, and I mean, it helps. You know what I mean? But I've never done it a bunch. I only did it like once with one plant. And I didn't use a scrog. I used hangers to hold everything down. So, or you could use chicken wire, what have you. But so this time I'm using a scrog net, or a trellis net, whatever. And we're going to give it a go. So like I said, I didn't have any room between the light and the plants. My buds were going to bleach out, guaranteed. The PPFD on this plant, on this light, is around 750, something like that, 780. It's below 800, and you wouldn't think that that's a lot, seeing as how there's a lot of lights out there right now that have PPFD of like 2500. Not a lot, I would say a few. I've seen one or two with them that high, but you could still burn and bleach them with this light if you have them too close. So I looked up what the PPFD was with a double-ended HPS. And I believe it said they're something to 1800, and at times going up over 2000 PPFD on a double-ended. So which really surprised me. So that, you know, the 2500 PPFD on an LED is not too surprising, I guess. Well, actually, it kind of is, because, you know, not that many years ago, people weren't getting that high PPFD, and now people are getting massive PPFDs with these LEDs. But it's to the point where the PPFD is so high, you got to keep those lights like 3 feet away from your plants, so you don't freaking bleach out the nugs or burn them. You know, a lot of these plants, when they get too hot or too much light, they foxtail and will freaking pop nanos on you and seed out and try and self-pollinate, and, you know, so you got to be careful. I had that happen with double-ended. My plants ran too long. I think it was with lavender. They ran a little too long and too hot, too much light, and they foxtailed out, got nanners, a few nanners, and I made sure I was able to get them all off. There was a couple seeds that showed up, but yeah, that run I made pretty much dabs out of everything, because it was just turned out to be a shitty run. It started off good, Middle wave was good, but towards the end I burned my plants and shit, and I should have stopped feeding at a certain point and been flushing, and so I fucked up. So hopefully I don't do that this time. I think I should be okay with the hydro. I just got to check the pH every day because the pH wanders. I need to get a pH system. I've been looking around. They're not cheap, so I'm going to need to get 2 paradosers in the control unit so I can control the pH up and down. I don't know where I'm going to put it in here. Gorilla Grow Tents has that board or whatever that you can put and hang stuff on, so I'll probably go up there when I get one of those. And it will keep my res pH, you know, so that way I don't have to check it every freaking day. But yeah, it's been wandering a little bit here and there. It hasn't wandered out of range yet, but it has been wandering away from a 6.0. It's been going up, so I keep having to bring it down to a 6. I like to run my plants at a 6, or, you know, between 5.9 and 6.1, but I prefer a 6, and the plants seem to like it at a 6. It seems to be the sweet spot for me. So yeah, the plants are liking it, man. They're happy little fuckers. They're not big. I usually grow bigger plants. They're too big for this grow space, personally, I feel, so that's why I also scrogged them down. It'd be nice to have 2 more in here to get a nice full canopy, but this will work for me. I need to go through and do some leaf stripping. I'll eventually get that done. I gotta take that 1 clone. I gotta bring my clone tent in the house because the temperatures vary too much out here. The humidity varies too much out here. So I'm gonna take it in the house where it stays an even 69 to 70 degrees. And in the tent, it will stay where I need it to stay, around 75 to 78 degrees. I can control that with turning the light up or down, or opening or closing the door. I've got a 4-inch AC Infinity fan filter to put in there too. And the light's just little. Here, I'll show you. Shit, I'm rambling on about it, and I'll just show you. So this is the Mars Hydro 2x2 tent. It was given to me actually by Mars Hydro, and this light too. It was free. I did a video series, kind of, sort of, on this light and tent. So I didn't really do it all the way through like I should have, but maybe I'll do that here in the future and do my due diligence to make Mars Hydro happy, because I got this shit for free and kind of did a half-ass job. I had a lot of shit going on. I just kind of like lost my interest. But so my cloning machine's up and running. What's the water temp at? Finally, it's at 77 degrees, so it's too hot. I'm gonna have to keep this door open. I've got it set up, but like I said, it's waiting for the clone, but the water's just too warm. So this tent's probably gonna have to go into the house. This is my little plant, the one that I overwatered. She's dry right now, which is fine. I'm gonna put some diatomaceous earth on there because she had some little springtails still, so I'm gonna get rid of those. And find out why she's fucking... She's just not... I know it's cold in here in this tent. It's not warm like it should be, or warm enough, but it's sitting on the heat mat to keep the root zone warm. But yeah, dude, finally the bottom's strong enough to keep it from falling over. So maybe this plant will go outside. Maybe that's what I'll do with this one. So I'm not sure yet. But yeah, so this is ready, except for the water temperature's too high. So I'll get that down, because the heater's set for 70. So it's at 77, which is too high. It'll cook the plant, and they won't root out at all. I've had that happen before. The humidifier is working great. I love it. AC Infinity did a pretty damn good job. When I get a new tent, I'm probably going to be going, well, even with this tent, I'm going to be going with some more AC Infinity products, like a heater, dehumidifier, shit like that. And then on my next tent, it's going to be pretty much all AC Infinity products, except for the lights. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about lights yet. And the big dehumidifier is the one that I got at the Green Thumb store when it closed. These are expensive, dude, and I got it for a hella good price. So yeah, that's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. So everything is coming along, looking good. No problems. They said this plant was deficient. I told you guys I was able to get around. People were saying, oh, you need... One guy said I need a CalMag. Really? Where? So I'm sure it's here soon. They're gonna possibly need CalMag. I gotta look at the General Hydroponics Maxi Bloom. I think there's a good amount of CalMag in that, but I'll have to double check. So if not, I may end up having to use some CalMag. I got some silica. I don't know if I'm going to use it. So yeah, and I've got the Cool Bloom PK booster. So there's really not much I need. I don't really need anything for flower. I might get an additive, some sort of microbe or whatever, similar to Mammoth P, something to help out. So, and oh yeah, I'm going to be introducing CO2. I've got the rain system up here for the CO2. Goes all the way around. You can see it. You got to make sure those are facing a certain way because the holes, you want them facing down. But yeah, I'll be hooking that up. My Grown controller controls the CO2. I don't have a separate CO2 controller because this does everything. CO2, cooling, heating, and humidity. Does all of it. But anyways, that's probably it, guys. It's been a 20-minute video. It's ridiculous. So if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and post them. Like the video, smash the bell, and subscribe to the rest of my grow. Until next time, peace.